Hello, this is Angela Caicedo and I want to show you what is new with the Scene Builder. You've seen previously another video where I presented all the features that Scene Builder has, but in that video what happened was there wasn't really connection between the Scene Builder and NetBeans. So pretty much we have both of them open and we have to go back and forth to be able to work with them. Now it's different. Now there is a better integration, so I'm going to show you what are the new features that you have in NetBeans 7.2 working together with the Scene Builder. In the previous exercise also, some people ask me where they can find the exercises. So the issue tracking light demo, all the code for the controller and everything can be found in the samples zip file that comes with the Scene Builder. So if you go to the download website for the Scene Builder, you will see also that there is a sample file. So download that one, unzip it, and then you will find the issue tracking light. That is the project we're going to be using. So far I have Scene Builder installed on my machine and I have NetBeans 7.2. We can go ahead and open the issue tracking light. So it depends where you unzip the file, you will find this particular project. And so there's a few things that has been already created for you. So for example, we already have a Java controller. So we have an issue light controller. And if we open up, it's not really rocket science. There is a bunch of imports that we have available. And we have some of the components, UI components, that are going to be created on fxml file. So we're going to create them using Scene Builder. You can see that we have here the annotations. So this is meaning that this particular button, for example, will be injected from fxml file. Okay, we have some resources, we have a CSS file, and we already have a fxml file. We can actually double click and what it's gonna do is actually gonna open up the Scene Builder for me. So this is already a creating file. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time in the Scene Builder. I mean, we're gonna spend some time, but I don't wanna go into every single detail because this has been covered in the previous recordings. What I wanna really focus on is in the integration with NetBeans. So here you can actually see the window, the screen that we're going to be creating here. So let me just close this one. So what we're going to do, we're going to rename this particular file and we're going to create a new one. Okay, so I'm just going to rename this as old, and we can come and create a new file either from the icon here, or you can come to File, New File. Okay, so we have JavaFX, and we're going to create an empty fxml file. Okay, we want to name it the same, issue tracking light. And what I want to do is I do want to use a Java controller. We do not want to create a new one because we already have one. So we want to use an existing one. So we dig into here, just make sure we are in the correct directory, and we pick that Java controller. And then it's also asking for the style sheet that we are using. So yes, we do have a CSS file. We just need to use the existing one and make sure you select that one. Okay, finished. So what is going to happen is just an empty fxml file has been created. So if you double click again, we're going to get the Scene Builder, okay, with this new issue tracking light file. So few things. So because we create this fxml from NetBeans, it already knows about the controller. So if we go here inside the code, you already see that we do have the controller class is there, and also we can pay attention to the CSS file. So if we go to properties, we can see also that the style sheet is already there. So a few things that change from the previous video that I recorded. So before we get any further, I just want to go and change the dimension so we have a little bit more space to work with. And as we seen previously in the previous recording for the scene builder, this is pretty much dragging and dropping components. So we have a split panel, we drag it and drop it, and we ask the tool to modify it to be able to fit the whole container. Okay, we resize. Okay, doesn't really matter how much. And then we need a split panel. So again, we drag it and drop it. We fit the parent, and then we resize one more time. Okay, another thing that goes different, so right now what we want to bring is we want to bring a list view. So we drag it and drop it, and we ask the tool to fit the parent. So in the properties, if you remember correctly, we need to set the ID. Previously in the other video, we actually needed to type the ID manually. So not anymore, because it already knows that this file already have the pointer for the controller, so already knows the names of the components that are going to be injected. So we can actually just expand the list, and we can see that the list is one of the IDs available. So this is the one I want to use for the list. Then we're going to bring a table. So there is a table view. We drag, drop, and modify, fit the parent. Again, we need an ID for the table. Very nicely, we can actually nose and take the table from the available list of IDs. Okay, something also new, before we didn't manipulate the columns from the table, we can actually select the columns and pick also the ID. So we're gonna modify, we say this is gonna be the column name ID, and it's gonna be name for the text to be displayed. We pick up the second one. For the second one, we have the status. And we need a third one, a new one, so we can actually come here, table column, drag it and drop it. Again, the ID, we have synopsis, and then the text to be displayed is the same. Okay, very good. And now for this container right here, I also want to do set the ID. So there will be details. Okay, and we start populating this area here. So very simple, we need a label. We just drag it and drop it. In the properties, again, we select the name, display issue label, and then we're gonna call it project ID. Okay, and then we're gonna bring a text field. You can drag and drop. You see the guidelines that is helping us to make sure things are aligned properly. For the ID, see that because we had been assigning the IDs already, so the list start getting smaller. So that means you cannot assign the same ID twice, which is actually very convenient. So for this one will be synopsis. The prompt test will be synopsis, and there's no text so far. Okay, then we need another label. We just drag it and drop it. This is gonna be just the description. And I think this one doesn't really need an ID, so I'm gonna just leave it like that. And I need a text area. Just drag it and drop it. We just resize. Let me just go back again. We need to resize. Again, we do have the guidelines, so I know exactly where to place it. And we need an ID, and this is gonna be description file. So pretty easy. Now again, the IDs are there for you available rather than typing, and it could actually lead to mistakes if you mistype any of the ID that doesn't really match with your file. So it's very, very convenient that these IDs are already providers rather than you have to type them. Okay, another thing that we want to see is how we set the layout. So if we go back here to the anchor panel, we can actually group components. So I can actually go ahead and select project ID with project ID and this text field, so we can actually wrap them into an horizontal box. Okay, and I can make sure in the layout that this box actually resizes properly. So I want to do that this horizontal box is going to be anchored to the right and left borders of the container, so it always grow horizontally. For the text field itself, I wanted to always fight for a space available horizontally, so I always wanted to grow. So I can come here to horizontal grow and select always. For the string, I do not want to shrink to disappear. So you know when you start shrinking your windows, you will get dot, dot, dot. I don't want that to happen. So I want the minimum width to be predefined size, preferred size. Okay, and the text area I want to anchor to all the different top, bottom, right, and left. So it will be just anchored to the container itself. We can always view the sample data, so I know how things are kind of looking, and I can actually preview my application. So this is just the preview. Remember, this is not real data, but it allows us to make sure that everything is working properly. If I resize the components, they do resize properly. Okay? Now, CSS files. So we know that we already set up the CSS file for the project. So for example, I can select the main container and I can just go to properties and say that the style class that we're going to be using is theme, for example. Now I'm going to resize things a bit so I have a space for the buttons at the top. So we just resize the screen a little bit. We better save the file. I forgot to save it. And now we're gonna bring some an image. So I'm gonna import from media, and then I'm gonna go to my directory. So you go wherever you unzip your project. Okay, there it is. Go to source, issue tracking light, and then you will have your image. Okay, just reorganize things a bit. We bring three buttons, and then we can actually do copy and paste. So I need 3 of them. We just go a little bit to the left so I can actually organize things. 1, 2, and 3. I can actually group them and again arrange them into an H box, and then just reorganize things a bit so make sure it's aligned. And then I can go to layout and I can set the constraints to be anchored to the top and right. And also in the properties, I can set that the space in between them is going to be 15. Now for each button, I need an ID. So we have delete issue and the text to be display. It's going to be delete. We have the second one. It's going to be save issue. Pretty good. And the first one is going to be new issue. So you saw how we use all the IDs available. Okay. So what we're missing right now is just the actions that are to be that are going to take place whenever you click one of these buttons. So if we go back to NetBeans to the controller, we can see that we have few methods here. So we can see initialization, we have new issue fire, we receive an action event, and it's actually void method, it doesn't return anything. We have delete issue fire, again, action event, void, and it doesn't return anything. And the last one, save issue fire. So these are the methods that actually could be used for the bottoms. So again, we can actually go to the code and we have on action, and we can see that the list has been already populated for me. So we know the tool will be able to bring for you those methods that are available for actions. In this case, mouse click and stuff like that. So we have new issue fire. That will be the method that is going to be called whenever the new bottom get hit. So select that one. For the save, we have save issue fire, and for the delete, we have delete issue file. See that the method in different with the IDs do not disappear, because more than one places you can be calling the same method. So they are not just one. So in different places of your code could be invoking the same method. Okay, so delete. Finally, we save it. And now let's go back to NetBeans and let's run the code, just to make sure that everything is working properly. Okay, so we have the projects here. You select a project, it gets the information here. You create a new one, so we can see that down here a new one got created. We can actually type some information and we can save it. Okay, it got saved, and you can also delete it and it goes away. So pretty much everything is working. One last piece, let's bring, because the CSS file has been specified, let's see how you can actually use it in the code. So going back to Scene Builder, we can select the list, we can go to Properties, and we can set the style class will be dark list. So you will see that it totally changed. Let's save it. Let's run it one more time. So we can see now that we're using the definitions in the that we have in the CSS file. Okay, so now you can see the dark list. And again, everything is working properly. So thank you so much. Again, this was a little update about Scene Builder, how we do have a better integration with NetBeans, in this case NetBeans 7.1. And again, stay tuned for new demos and new updates in the tools. Thank you very much.